What's up, everyone? It's DV, and I'm here to show you the most expensive builds ever in Roblox Islands. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually going to show you the most affordable builds you can make right now. And a lot of people have actually messaged me and said, hey, DV, can I have a smelter? Because your build required smelters, and I don't have any. And that's actually a consistent message. I actually ran a poll on my Discord, and it looks like about 12% of my Discord members don't actually have a smelter, which is really, really surprising. They are typically the type to actually have smelters too. So I would imagine that all of you watching on YouTube, it's probably a little bit closer to like maybe only 20% that don't. So that would mean 1 out of 5 of you actually don't have a smelter, which is crazy, right? 1 out of 5 of you watching me right now do not have a smelter. So what does that mean? First up, why not go make one? It does take a bit of time though. It does take a bit of time, and I realize a lot of mobile players are especially difficult for you. So I'm going to show you how to do stuff without a smelter. And then I've also got some really cheap auto farms and such I'm going to show you as part of this video. So first up, before I begin, be sure to hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you are new. And let's go. So I'm coming over here. You're going to see a couple things, but let's go straight to the still farm. So this is actually my still mill farm. Now, still mills do not cost that much to make. They are costing 100 iron and 50 gold, right? So let me show you what they look like in here. So you can see it costs 100 iron and 50 gold. That's not actually that much. You can actually make one of these pretty quickly. All you need to do is go over to Buffalo Island or even Wizard Island if you can. But Buffalo Island, you should be able to start doing this within the first, I would say, 15 minutes of the game. So if you created a brand new account, you should be able to get one of these, I would say, in about 30 minutes. You should be able to make a still mill. And if you're an existing account, even faster, right? Because you already have all the equipment. So let's assume you have 2 still mills. Even if you only have 1, that's fine. And then you're going to need some furnaces. So you can see all these small furnaces. These are going to substitute our smelter. So if you don't have a smelter, this is okay. The whole point of this is to show you how to do this. Now, you are going to need some iron ore. Assuming you're actually farming for gold and stuff, you're going to get this naturally. I mean, iron ore, you can't avoid this stuff. It's in your way all the time. It's always there. It's always in your inventory, it seems like. So at one point, I think I had like 30,000 of this stuff. It's crazy. But if you don't have any, you can always do something like this and just farm it. But what I would recommend is just go over to Buffalo Island and farm a bunch of gold. And in doing so, you're going to end up farming a lot of iron ore deposits. So just do that. And then what I've set up here is because you're most likely going to run out of coal, just because this requires a lot of coal. Just set up a couple nodes here so you can just break these whenever you run out and just respawn that, and then they'll respawn right there. So you can farm coal that way pretty easily. If you have extra industrial chests, just do this too instead. This will save you a lot of time. And that way you can just, as they spawn, just pick them up. You actually don't even need to do 2 industrial chests. You can just do this. There we go. That'll be more efficient. So that's another way of doing it. But if you don't have a bunch of extra industrial chests, then that's fine. Just do it the way I was recommending. Now let's go over here and show you what's going on here. So you don't need all these extra conveyors. Just ignore these. You will need some industrial chests. If you only have a couple, that's okay. Just set them up at the end of these. So if you only have like 2 industrial chests, if you don't have 3 like I do, just do this. Just put them at the end here like this, and that'll work just fine. But I actually have extras, so I'm gonna set this up. I'm not too worried about this. So how I set this up is not overly complicated. It might look a little complicated, but it's very, very simple. So you've got 2 still mills, right? And you just got to space this in between. What happens is I feed in this coal, and you don't have to stack it like this. I was just making it pretty compact. You can actually you can do something like this instead if you want. I mean, I should probably just do that now so it's not so confusing for you. Sometimes us YouTubers, we get a little fancy with our stuff. We don't need to either, but sometimes we do it just for the sake of being fancy when it's not needed. That's more like it. Okay, so I'll do it over here too so you don't get confused. I just like stacking stuff. It's more interesting. So it'll look like this. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna set up these to be out, direction out. Like I said, you would just put some end caps here, or you can do what I did and just feed them back. So you can see all it does is make a U-turn back into this chest. And then I used a ramp so that this one would just drop, because it's kind of hard to merge these. There's no like merge conveyor, right? There's no way to connect to a T connector. There's no way to do that. So you kind of have to just do something like this where it just drops back off. So you don't even have to have that many. You could just do something like that. You could do that as well. So I just like to have lots of them, and you don't even have to go that far. You can move this up if you want. I just like to be able to do this and then check and then take, right? Very easy. So here's how I'm going to show you the example flow here so you can see what kind of workflow it is. And let's just go check this. Yep, that's looking pretty good. So let's come over here and do this then. So I'm going to go basically start it and feeding some coal. So we're just going to go in line here. And I already had some ore in those. And then they made it actually easier for us to collect stuff, which is cool. Looks like this needs some more ore. And so typically you can actually handle a little bit more than this. I like the 6 because it feels like once you start adding 7 and 8, it just gets a little chaotic. So I like the 6 number here. It just works out better. So once you collect, so you can see I'm collecting them all, you can actually just start feeding them back in. So this is actually as fast as a smelter, I believe. I'll have to double check the timing, but I think these are just as fast. And then what I would recommend is put your iron here inside of your hotbar. So go ahead and stick your iron right there. And then you're gonna go ahead and just drop some iron in. You only need to do 1 stack of 5. You don't need to do more than that because you don't want to start hitting despawn limits. And the furnaces are actually way more efficient now because they used to actually consume all the coal at once. Now it only consumes 1 at a time. So you can fill these up and not have to keep filling them up too often. But they used to overconsume, so we used to get messed over a bit. So I used to actually only put 1 because I knew that was going on. So like I said, I mean, at some point you can sequence it like that, and then you just do this. I think a lot of you are probably wondering, can you automate this? And absolutely you can. You can do it through macros. I'm not going to show the macros in this version because I feel like I get the typical comments, you know, of like, well, I don't have a macro. And then I think that kind of confuses the concept here that it suddenly makes it feel like you have to have a macro for this to work. So I'm going to show the non-macro version, but pretty much what you're seeing here, you can fully automate. Now, this does take a lot more work than a smelter, of course. I'm not recommending this over a smelter, but I am recommending this if you don't have one. If you can't find one, just do this. This is essentially having 6 smelters right now, by the way. So at some point, you can kind of lay off this because you're going to have so much iron that you don't really need it anymore. Another option, by the way, is you don't actually have to have furnaces if you already have a bunch of iron. So maybe you've bought iron from people or you've been given a bunch of iron, then that works just fine too. Just, you don't need the furnaces then just do something like this and feed it in when you need it. And see, I've already got 10 steel right here. Just doing that, I've already got 10. So this is a pretty efficient build if you're just looking for something that does not require a smelter. So let's go ahead and move on from this one. Next up is one of the most affordable auto farms you can make. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize about carrots, I think a lot of people undervalue carrots and they don't understand the power of carrots. I'm going to give you some math here, okay? What you can sell carrots for is 25 coins, right? Onions are only 30. So onions are only 5 more coins per onion. Not a huge difference, but enough like to be like, oh, I should only just focus on onions, right? Because look, it's 25 and then this one's 30. So you think, well, this is the better one, just go with this. But if you're on a budget, this is not the best idea. And this is actually the route that I took to get rich in the game early on when the game first came out. So you look here, look at the cost of the seeds real quick. So carrot seeds cost 500 and then onion seeds cost 2,000. So if I had a budget of $1 million, I could buy 2,000 of these carrot seeds and only 500 of the onion seeds, which is a huge difference, right? 2,000 versus 500. So imagine if I had a crop of 2,000 that I came here and I did a full harvest, right? Well, if I had 2,000 times 25, that's 50,000 coins that I'm going to get for a full harvest of a carrot crop for the investment of $1 million. But if I did a full harvest of the onions, I'm looking at only 15,000. So there's a 35,000 difference here in what I would earn. Now, the difference here is that I'm going to need a bigger crop. I'm going to need more totems, right? Because I've got a bigger crop. But the totem prices also are reflective of this. Look, carrot totems are only 6,000, whereas onion totems are 8,000. And then of course, if you want to have that, you got to wash your crops, right? Because it's oily. So here's what I would recommend you do. If you are on a budget, if you can't afford anything, if you're like, DB, I'm not willing to really grind outside of doing farming. I want to farm. If you're like, DB, I just want to farm. I want to make a cool farm. I don't really want to have to do trading. I don't want to do anything like that. I would recommend making a carrot crop. It is a little bit more, I would say it's not the best way to make money in the game. Crops in general are a bad deal. Right now, crops in general do not make you a whole lot of money in the game. Doing this stuff and then selling it to vendings and going to published servers and that kind of stuff, that's going to make you the most. So doing trading is going to be pretty much king. But if you only want to sell stuff to the vendor early on and you don't really have a whole lot of coins, this is actually a pretty good technique here. So you can see here, I've got this farm. Now, the only extra costs here are the totems and the conveyors. Conveyors can be pretty pricey right now if you don't have a bunch of steel. So, of course, there's the gotcha, right? If you do have steel, you could probably afford a lot more than this. But this is actually a really affordable auto because what happens here is after you fill up your chest, the oilies, what you can do is you can come over here. I've got this washing station. So this is the cost of a washing station is 3 pearls. Most people are willing to get rid of these really cheaply too because most people have an industrial because industrials dropped in price. So most people are going to be willing to go, part ways with this for really, really cheap. It does require 100 maple wood and then it requires some iron and then the 3 pearls. Generally speaking though, those, used to only cost about 100,000. I think they cost a little bit more to make now, but a lot of people are willing to part with them. So if you click on this, you can see I can pretty much auto click this and I can actually do 10 at a time. So you can see I'm just cleaning my carrots this way and you just auto click it. And it's a really, really affordable way to do this. So you can auto click that. Now, if you had a really, really big build, so this is only a couple layers. If you had 2,000 seeds, I think this is like almost 200 seeds right here. So that's about almost 200. So you could probably do, I would say, up to 40 levels of this, but this is actually a pretty good build. You know, I'm getting a lot of carrots here. So that's what I would recommend for a cheap auto farm, is just take that approach. Now, as far as food processors, a lot of you are, you know, like, oh, I need a food processor, I can't make food. Well, you can always just get a cooking station. So check this out. So the cooking table only costs you 30 wood and 10 iron to make. So you can pretty much make one of those. But if you come over here, you can see the cooking table. I've got one here. So I can make dough out of wheat. So you just need a little wheat farm. And so as long as you have the materials, so let's see, do I have anything for carrots? Let's see, I can make carrot cake. So I can make wheat. I can make bread with, so I already have some bread on me. And then I've got jars of honey. So you can use this. And what I would do is just make this and set up a wheat farm somewhere. And then all you got to do is set up a oven. Let me show you what an oven costs. Don't go and buy an oven for 100,000. I mean, they only require 3 green stickies, which are really, really cheap. And then it just requires this steel rod. So it doesn't cost that much to make. And then you just go over here and set it up. And then I just have a chest here with a coal totem, and I can just do this. So I've got bread. Let's see, I'm going to make some dough real quick. So let's go ahead and make some more dough. And so with the dough, you just do something like that. You can see you can do 3 at a time, which is really, really fast. Let me just wait for that for a moment. So you get bread. So a lot of people actually underestimate the power of just a standard cooking table that doesn't cost that much to make. The food processor just makes it so that you can automate things. So if you don't really do an auto food processor, which I wouldn't even recommend anyway, unless you're really, really into food, because if you have any other autos like this stuff, the food processor will actually cause some despawn, which is unfortunate. So I'd highly recommend doing like a build like that if you don't have a food processor. So this is like the super cheap way to go if you don't have a smelter. Again, even for gold, I would actually use this for gold too. Generally, I don't even play with that many people just because they tend to lag my autos. So I'm usually by myself while I'm doing videos, specifically because they will lag me out. It's happened even on stream. You've seen it probably happen on my live streams where I'm totally lagged out. Now, of course, if you can buy a smelter, get a smelter. If you can get a food processor, get a food processor. If you can get a washing station, get a washing station. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button and smash the subscribe button if you are new, and I'll see you all next time. Take it easy.